Right, anyone who has watched my page for at least a year or in general has watched this for quite a while, you will have seen this man, the absolute myth, the legend. You will have either seen him on the hills, you will have seen him doing his runs, you will have seen him outside, you will have seen there's so many different things that Ryan has done over the last sort of 12 months. So anyway, on that though, if anyone for some reason doesn't know who you are, Ryan, how would you describe yourself, your age, your job, your hobbies, you as a person, dude?
Well, I'm Ryan. I'm 25 years old. I work at the local hospital here at the minute and hoping to change for a better job shortly. And compared to the person I am now, compared to a few months ago, I'm totally different and ready to smash it.
Boom. So I would say incredibly caring, compassionate, family oriented, relationship oriented. You know, you want the people around you to be really strong, which is obviously huge. You've got a hell of a lot of ambition, which we're going to talk about today for what your sort of future career and everything you want that will end up happening. I'm just going to get rid of that, which is fantastic. And also, I would say, like, you know, very absorbent and wanting to, you know, move in the right direction. You just maybe needed the right person to help. So let's jump straight into it, dude. Like, you know, 12 months ago, what was the reality before the Warriors? So, you know, looking at 2020, 2019, everyone took quite a hit with the lockdown, with everything we've got going on. What was life sort of like for you, you know, in your self-confidence, in your health, in your routines, in your work, especially, I think was the big thing that took over everything. What was life like for you, Ryan?
From now compared to back then, I was very just full of negativity. My eating habits were especially bad. Eating late at night when it shouldn't have been. Water levels were not great, and just my outlook on life was just horrible. Just, you know, whenever I heard somebody saying about positivity or somebody else was doing well, you know, I was like, I know they're just so and so. I was just so negative. My confidence, because my confidence was so low, like I didn't believe I could do it. When I see other people being successful, I was just trying to put them down to make myself feel better.
Yeah,
but then I caught on to myself, and then whenever I joined up, you know, I started pushing myself, and then I started my mindset started to change, started to become more confident, started doing more things, eating habits changed. You know, water, always drinking water non-stop now, always reading up on education. If I'm not sure, you know, as the group yet, as the Warriors, but now come to yourself. And, you know, I'm always reading, like I'm reading now, Anne Middleton's new book, and, you know, stuff I would never done like that 2 or 3 years ago, never.
Yeah. I'm just looking through your files as well, and there's so many different things that we were, like you said previously. I think we did. We sort of, you know, remember we sort of said you felt broken, and there was, you know, do you remember where your confidence was sort of that 12 months ago in yourself? Do you remember what the level you were at?
The confidence was just, I thought, like my mind was just saying, oh, you can do anything, when you go, no, you really can't.
Yeah.
Because before I joined up, like I always thought, no, you don't need to go to the gym. You don't need to go. You just go running, you know, eventually improve. Yeah. But as I find out now, it is better to go and do all those other exercises, because that does help. Whenever I first joined,
back in March,
you get the was a mile and a half run on Monday.
Yeah.
And I'd done that first week, and I thought, right, I didn't think I thought, but then the second week, the time went down like a minute and a half, and I thought, all right, I've been a complete and total garbage.
I think the first thing was it was the awareness to what was actually the problem, because I think that was a huge thing, and a lot of guys struggle with this. Is that, like you said, it was your water intake, it was all these different things that you weren't really sure of, and it was looking at those elements, and we just weren't sure, like the nutrition, your training, your water, your sleep, all this education that no one ever teaches you. It was kind of, you just didn't really get what was holding your confidence back and your fitness back, and there was so many elements that we looked at, and we were like, and it was light bulbs loads at the start, wasn't it? It was like, I've never even thought about that fact, I've never even thought about that, and it was so many different things that we kind of were like, well, how come we've never, you know, considered this? How come we've never thought about that? And exactly like you said, and a lot of guys will do this, is they'll kind of treat fitness as a you know, this attitude of, oh, maybe I'll just do a little bit, or maybe what's the problem with me just doing a bit of running, a bit of press ups, a bit of pull ups, and not really thinking about it. Whereas, like you said there, if you kind of go, well, actually, no, I need to nail this, like this is
exactly, so much more than just a one thing.
Yeah, and even like your lifestyle habits, that makes such a big difference. But when we were
Hmm.
in this sort of state, how did that low confidence affect your relationship and work? What were the negative impacts of not feeling good in yourself, buddy?
There would have been like, especially relationship wise, I would have been a lot more aggressive, a lot more angry, a lot more, just I was an ignorant person, rude and disrespectful.
Yeah,
I didn't like myself. I hated myself because I always thought, I need to be like so and so. I need to be like this, like that. But everything I tried was not working because I wasn't thinking now. Instead of just going for the main goal, go for the short term goals to get that end journey.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's not the end journey that matters, it's the build up to it and all the extra you can learn along the way.
yeah,
It
yeah.
makes a lot more sense that way.
I think like you said there, it was the when you're not happy in yourself, it does reflect into a lot of other things. And I know
Mm-hmm.
that I had it before I hired Isaac or I had any of my coaches, is that when your self confidence is quite low, you can be quite snappy and
Mm-hmm.
argumentative because you just feel frustration. That's the biggest thing, isn't it? It's that
Yeah,
frustration.
that's what it
Um,
was.
yeah, and then you kind of, I know you tried workouts on your own, you tried all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff, and it just never seemed to work out, did it really?
Yeah. Like I was trying, like I said, I was like running and just running, nothing else, no press ups or sit ups, nothing like that. And and like I said, I always wanted to run up mountains and all that as well.
Yeah,
I thought, if I was going to run up mountains back then, I thought, that's going to take like 10, 12 years to do.
yeah.
And then I joined up with you and I was like, look, it only takes about what, 2 months, 3 months?
Yeah, I
So,
remember that. I remember that was such a big win. It was like, and the figurative, the kind of figurative moment of that, like the way that that actually does fit into what you've been able to do is like, oh, I'm going to soar
mm,
up mountains, and it's like, oh, it's going to take me years to do that. Whereas it's almost like we light the fire. And it just
mm,
happens. And let's go into that. Let's go into that. So we're having these confidence problems. We were feeling down. We were frustrated. Work wasn't where we needed it to be. We were not really painting out a good vision of where we wanted our life to go. And then we get, little old me being like, Ryan, how you doing, mate? Thanks for following my page. And we had a bit of a chat. We had a bit of a conflab, and we just talked about different things. And then kind of from there, like we jumped on a phone call. I remember that was really eye opening for you, wasn't it? There was a
mm,
lot of stuff that
definitely.
we and you did have hesitation. I'm not gonna lie. Like I remember that first call, man.
Yeah, I
There was
did.
a few hesitations or a few panics, and I remember I talked to you and and yourself, Dan Chew, or Dan joined at the same time, and there was a
Mm,
few things that I kind of similarities saw in you guys, but he'd obviously smashed the last 2 months. So I was thinking, this is exactly the same case. So I even said it to you, Ryan, didn't I? I said like the whole back here, you've got to get that this is just you wanting to not kick down that door. And I've talked about this all
mm,
week with the lads, and Ollie talked about it, didn't he? He's like, just kick the
yeah.
fucking door in. Um, we did it, with a few bits of persuasion. Not gonna lie,
Mm.
that was what happened, didn't it? But once we kicked that door down and we fucking were in that group, what was life like? As the day that you joined, what did that feel like the day you joined, my man? A little bit of overwhelmed probably, but what did you feel like in
Yeah.
a manner?
A little bit overwhelmed, but the amount of support and welcome. Like tried going to the gym beforehand, local gym,
Yeah,
and joined up a few groups there and there. And you always get that one particular person you're going, oh, look, I'm the best at everything. I can do this, I can do that.
yeah,
And you try doing that. Oh, but they're like, oh, you're rubbish. You can't do that. I'm better than you. And they
yeah,
don't give you any helpful advice.
yeah.
Whereas when they were joined reviews, it was like, holy crap, mind the welcome support that I'm getting. And they're like all saying, if you have anything, ask. There's no such thing as a stupid question.
Yeah.
Just ask. You'll get your answer in seconds, which always happens all the time.
I remember we've made so many jokes about that, haven't we? Where you now make the joke about, oh, if you ask a stupid question, I'll tear you apart. But it's obviously you're only taking a piss, and I always
Mm-hmm.
remind that. But it's so funny, and it's so true, mate. I think the biggest thing is that it's not just the training nutrition. That's like the byproduct of, that's what to get you going. Yes, but the biggest thing I think for you definitely has been the community and the
Yeah.
support and the group, because we're not going to lie here, Ryan. Like, there's been plenty of times where you've had struggles, mate, isn't there? There's been plenty of
Yeah.
times in the past
A lot
year
of times.
we've had things that we've had to work through together, or we've had phone calls that we've gone through, or we've gone through fucking these chats together, or
Yeah.
group chats together, or fucking messages. And there's so many different times where I hope you don't mind me saying this, Ryan, but you could have really fallen flat on your face in the
Mhm.
if you'd been on your own. You should kind of agree with that.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. If I didn't have the support, you and the Warriors, I'd be totally just gone.
Yeah,
Just
100%.
lost it, I would have just given up ages ago.
Yeah, I think
But it
that.
wasn't for the support of all the lads and you. Like I think what it is with men especially is like we're so afraid to ask when we're so afraid to look stupid.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then if anybody says, how do you do that? Or how do you do that exercise? Somebody will take the piss and then that'll just bring them down.
And what I think happens is that's so true. Is it's I talked about with Liam just now about the fact that it's your ability to rely on something or someone, and when
Mhm.
you can't rely on yourself, when you seek external validation or you seek external help, sometimes that can actually not be reciprocated in a nice manner. And like you say, there it puts you down even more. Because
Yeah.
if you're there, like you reach out for someone and say, look, I'm not sure how to do this, or I'm not sure how does this supplement work, or how does this work, and there's no real substance to the answer. It's just
Mhm.
kind of fobbing you off. You do sort of go like, oh, well, what now? Like, what's the fucking, how's this helping me here? And
Mhm.
then, and exactly like you said there, dude, 100% agreed, where it goes into the point of you then, you knock your confidence even more versus obviously what we're able to do, which is great, is really give you that straightforward understanding. And how much better does that make life? Like, how much easier does that make, your life, mate?
But it's a lot more calmer and just simpler.
Yeah.
Your mind's not always saying, you should be out and you should be doing this. Whereas like you give me a workout routine for the week. And if I say if I didn't do it on Monday, I can still catch up. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah,
And
100%.
like, but my mind's like saying, you need to do this. If you don't do this by a certain day, you know. Whereas if I did a couple of workouts there this morning, so I was able to catch up.
Yeah, yeah.
And like my mind was just saying, you could have sat down the stairs and just watched TV, but you went and worked out, and then you feel so much better, and you're just so
Yeah.
much happier.
And we'll come to in a minute, like Ollie's chatting what he said to you the other day. But I think that that's such a true thing, is that when you've got a straightforward roadmap, it's a lot
Mm.
easier, isn't it? Whereas
A lot more.
when you've got like kind of this mishmash of should I do this, should I do that, like what's happening with this, what's happening with that, it's so
Mm.
hard to kind of really know what to do versus like you said there, you've just got an exact pinpointing of focus of what you're doing, and it just makes, like, I find massively, like I've got my own coach, it makes my
Yeah.
life so much easier. And you're a busy guy, you're a busy bloke with work. You're not fucking, you haven't got, you're not working 5 hours a week. You're busy, and it
Yeah.
makes your life so much easier, which is massive. And going into that, Ryan, like when we look at the education side of things, as well as the program, as well as the support, the community, how much have you learned in the last 12 months that has been really valuable to your life? Like, how would you find that education, mate?
The education, like I was really surprised, like at the most simple things. Because, prime example, supplements. Like
Yeah,
I remember I was asking a few months ago about the cauliflower oil and like what, and you said go to education, and
yeah,
I did watch it, but just can remember at the time because of everything else going on.
yeah, yeah,
And I rewatched it, and I was like, right, so I'm not. You don't need to depend on them as I thought I would.
yeah.
Just stuff, little stuff like that makes like such a big difference than you actually thought it would.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is it's when you can get a really easy answer that you previously didn't know, it's massive.
Mm.
That's huge. And looking at the last 12 months, mate, like, your confidence was very low. I remember the first conversation, it was
Mm.
practically nothing. You said it was like a zero and you just didn't
Yeah.
feel happy about yourself. 12 months later, where are you now, Ryan? Where's your self-confidence? Where's where's the attitude that you've got?
Oh, like 150.
There we
I'm
go.
way up.
Good man. And I think that's not just, from fucking like spreadsheeted plans. We always talk about that, don't we? It's from
Mm.
you really having now an understanding internally how to fucking get all these things on, and that's massive. And looking at that, like we've just had like quite a big event on Thursday, which was Ollie Ollerton coming in, and I've really visualized that for ages, and I talked about with you. But how much of a difference is having that support, that plan, that education, that community, all these things, that newfound confidence, having everything that we've gone through this week, how much of a difference do you think that's now going to make to your future life, Ryan? The rest of your life, really?
It's going to make a lot big difference because, like, especially when you chat to Ollie, like he's just giving me like great advice. Don't be as I asked. Mental minds always saying, you should be doing that, you should be doing that.
Yeah,
It's not the end of the world if you don't do it,
yeah,
but just give yourself time. Make sure you come first.
yeah,
Because it's already helping other people, but if you can't help yourself, you're not going to be any use to anybody.
yeah,
You're just going to be struggling whilst everybody else is way ahead, more better than you.
yeah.
It's just not selfish to put you first. which is what I was doing for years and years. I always put everybody else first instead of me.
Yeah.
But now I'm in a position where people are starting to come to me and you go, how are you like always staying so positive? How are you always staying, always in that great attitude?
Yeah.
Well, it's because down to you and the Warriors, and it's like, change your mindset, start changing like your morning routines and the evening routines, instead of watching Netflix like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, like turn off your phone 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Just like what I do now is just read or just listen to Audible. I was like, just such peace, quiet.
I think there's so many different elements to this, and it's so hard to really get it wrong. But then also, like, once you piece together the cake, that's why I always say to the lads, like, realistically, we can make a massive difference in 90 days, but within a year, I'll completely change you as a bloke. I always say that in the onboarding, don't I? It's that 0 to hero, then from hero to fucking warrior is a massive difference. But like, that I think is all those little things that, even I've picked up so much from the education we've had this year. And, like you said, when you've got like Ollie and, the podcast, I definitely listen, I'm going to listen to that back a few times because there's so much in there. What's the, like, when you're part of this brotherhood, like, how does that make you feel to be part of a group where you've got those types of people that come in and speak to you? You've got, like people like Katie Parrott even. Do you remember when she came in? She's a fucking absolute like animal. Like, she's amazing at what she does. And like all those people that have come in and helped you, Ryan, like, what does it feel like to be part of that group?
It feels amazing because you never think that these sort of opportunities will come by.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think, you see this person doing this and they're going, well, that's because that person's went out. You don't know how hard they've worked for that opportunity.
Yeah.
You don't know how much they've, grinded for that opportunity.
Yeah.
Was these opportunities came along, like you said, I was absolutely like hesitant at the start. But if I didn't do that, if I didn't, I would be nowhere.
Yeah.
Whereas now I have a lot more knowledge, I have a lot more gained. My confidence is booming, and I can use that to push elsewhere in my life.
Yeah.
And as well as the Warriors, like they're all brilliant, each and every one of them. Like Jonathan, he always puts up when he's working out, like on Instagram, to say that I was having a day and like going, I don't really want to work out.
Yeah.
Then you see Jonathan put up on social media and go, right, I'm working out, that's it. I'm doing it.
Just anyone who doesn't know who Jonathan is, if you follow my page, you will. He's almost in his 60s, smashing out work rate. He's just a legend, isn't he? And like, I'm really looking forward to this April coming, so 2022, when we get you all to the next rocket race. But like this, that's massive. And anyone who's thinking about joining, they're a bit skeptical, Ryan. And trust me, I get it. Like, I do get it. What would you say, mate? Like, what would you say to them about, going into the new year? Because obviously I know you joined in 2021, and this will probably go out 2022. They're thinking about joining. They're not sure. They're not sure about the investment. There's so many things going around their head. What would you sort of say to them, mate, now being in the position you're in?
I would say to them, it's if the biggest concern with a lot of ones is like money. I go, well, if you're so concerned about money, why don't you take a look at maybe cutting out the takeouts? Drinking. If you have, for example, an expensive phone, like if you have an iPhone, brand new expensive car, that money you could use for your fitness, for your health, which will help you in your family life, your work life, everything. Like, so I always thought, a lot of people do think, buy designer brands and all this rubbish. That's not how you live your life. Mental health and fitness first, and everything will follow suit.
Yeah.
Lots of people who are like really nervous, underconfident, and who are not sure, join this program. It'll be the best decision you ever make. Like, I started from nothing, absolutely crap, to getting there, running up mountains, and now I'm looking to push myself up to the highest mountain in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
And as well as hopefully get the job opportunities as well. So anyone who's underconfident, who's shy, just do it. It's the best damn decision you'll make, and you'll be in the best bunch of warriors ever.
I think the big thing you said there as well is so true, is that a lot of guys worry about the instant parting of finance, because we all do, it's our human nature. And also, like, right, I'll try not to go too deep into it because I always do it every week. But what we have to consider is, back in the Stone Age, right, we would gather wood, we would gather food, we would gather resources. And that would mean that we'd be thinking, oh, I don't want to part with these because I've had to gather them. It's exactly the same. We've worked hard. Every single one of you have worked hard for every single penny you invest into yourselves. But it's that feeling of, well, if I then actually invest some of this money that I've worked hard for into more self-development and I get myself into a better position, I'll actually be in a better position to gather more, and I'll actually be in a better position to be able to push forward. And like you said, a lot of the time lads spend on, I've had plenty of conversations in the last fucking 2 years with lads who are still drinking, they're still, partying, they're still doing whatever. I'm not saying stop doing that, because I always recommend you guys live a healthy life,
Yeah.
and that includes socializing and all the other stuff. But I think that if you're not in a good position and you don't sort that out, I always say to you, Ryan, don't I? The time will go. 3 months, 6 months, 12 months it's fucking gone rapid this year.
Yeah.
And actually, you could have solved the problem by now. So that would meant that you would have re-earned the money. You would have re-got back that time where you've solved the problem, be in a more confident state and set up to go. And actually the prolonging of that suffering benefits nobody. And also I'd say, mate, as well, you fully well know this, like, and I'm more than happy to talk about this. Like, every single year, I plan on investing tens of thousands into how we deliver this. And I'm sure you can agree that. Would you say that the investment, we'll touch upon that, the investment you've put in, would you say that you've got the value back for money, by tenfold? Would you say that it's worthy of the investment you've put into it?
Like at the time, I would have said, like, before everything, I was like, Jesus, that's a lot of money. Like, what the hell am I going to be doing? But now, like, all these months later, and what I've learned and what I've gained and what I've done, like, no, yeah, I would say without a doubt, invest in yourself, because that's the best investment you make. Yeah. And like, for guys, like, I know myself, I'm totally into my sci-fi, all that, complete nerd. And my confidence was crap whenever I was jandy, like. But now when I see that, and like, I notice all the guys out there who are just like, fitness is like not really my thing, because they always think, oh, you see all these big bodybuilders in the gyms, that's not what you have to do. You don't have to be like that. You can do so many other things, and you can be so much better, like. But the investment, invest in yourself. It's the best thing you'll do in your life. You'll feel so much happier down the road.
And 100%, like, we're not here to create bodybuilders. I'm not here to create SF fucking operators. Like, that's not just, there are lads who are interested in both of those, but the bodybuilding side, I won't ever get anyone ready for a show. Maybe photo shoots and feeling better about themselves, but that's the one side of it. The biggest thing for me, realistically, is whatever you're setting out as your big goal to do, it should always be the self-development and self-confidence that you move forward with. And because that leaks in so many other areas. And on that note, Ryan, like, would you say that investing in this program, joining the Warriors, like everything we've done over the last 12 months, and we're going to continue to do as we move towards what we're going for, would you say this has changed your life?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Nice, awesome.
Like, I think to myself now, what would I be doing if I didn't join the Warriors?
Yeah,
I would go out being moody, happy shit, and just complaining about life. Yeah. Whereas now I'm completely positive mindset. Like, I know everybody has their bad days. You will have your bad days.
Yeah, of course you are.
But it's it's learning not to give up. It's like, don't throw the towels out the window if somebody's giving off you. If you've had a bad day at work, just go work out, even for 20 minutes, or go for a walk. You'll feel so much better, and you'll have so much clarity.
Yeah.
And you'll know, like, right, this is what I've done. Or if you I've made a prime example on Wednesday. I was at the vaccine centre and I was getting abused left, right, and centre. Why are we waiting so long? And I still, like, and the other girl that was with me, helping me, she was panicking. She was coming over to me like, this person's saying this, and I'm going, right, well, I'll come over. And she was like absolutely freaking out. Like, God love her, she was just, you see her just breaking short. And I'm going, right, what's the problem? And they go, well, we're waiting too long. And I'm going, we're trying to be as quick as we can. Can you please stop being abusive to my other fellow colleague?
Yeah.
You're making me nervous, and I know you're probably nervous because you don't like needles, or God knows what.
Yeah.
And it's just saying, like, how are you, like, my colleague comes and how are you so calm and dealing with people? I says, well, for one, they're probably nervous, and two, I would probably be like that. But if I didn't work out, and if I didn't get the morning routines, the meditation, all that,
have that self. Yeah,
I had, like, there's one person who really got to my nerves, and I was just like, but I just thought, no, just calm down. Negative, you're just going to push more negativity out. Try and just be polite and be patient, and then they can't be negative if you're defeating a negative situation. So
that's gold. That's literally gold. That's brilliant, Ryan. And like you say, like, looking at that, like anyone else who's in a similar position where, like you were almost a year ago now, they're stressed, they're frustrated, they're fucking underconfident, they just don't feel like they're where they want to be. would you say to them that this program is going to help them completely change that? Like, would you recommend someone to join this?
Yeah, definitely. Especially with like, I know there's a few ones who have mental health problems, and they're like, how you, like, there's one, like, for example, I met somebody from school I was with years ago, and they go on, Jesus, you changed. You're more talkative. You're more aggressive.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I'm going, well, that's because I've been working out and I've joined the Warriors, and they're going like, well, how much is that? And then I told them obviously, and they're going like, okay, I won't pay that money. You're just fucking mental. And I'm going, well, you're just being arrogant and ignorant.
I
With
think
that, with more knowledge and
the problem
more
with
happy.
that is it's so true. Like, I openly tell you lads what I put into my coaches. It's one of those things. And I think that when people look at it on the surface, the problem is that they don't dig deep down into how much the problem is actually affecting you, not even just physically, but potentially financially. Like we say, if you're not confident in yourself and you go and spend, I'm going to pause this super quick. Ooh. That bit malfunction. Yeah. So when it comes to that, I think that, like you say, how much the problem is going to cost them either down the line or how much the problem will cost them. Because, like we've said it before, like if you're not confident or happy with yourself and that leads to you end up not getting a promotion, actually that promotion earns you an extra 20-30,000 a year eventually, within how many times you end up bumping up to it. That's obviously you holding yourself back. Or even like we've talked about before, if you end up ending a relationship because of the fact that you're not confident in yourself, it's cost you that relationship. Or you end up not going for a new job that you want to because, and that it's not just costing you the finances, it's costing you the fact that the time, the energy, the sense of life that you'll get out of it. And I think that was massive for me when I first invested in, Phil Graham or Isaac or any of these guys that you obviously speak to. I'm going to try and get Phil in for you lads next year, which would be quite interesting just because I think it'd be cool. But I think like there's so many different elements that when you look at it, it's like people do put finances on a pedestal, whereas realistically, like it's a fake currency, a fake figurative thing that is limitless. Whereas this time on the planet, I really believe, and I know we've had a chat about this before, like I believe this is it. You've got one good hard hit at this. And if you let those opportunities slip by, I know when I get to 80 and I'm looking back on the last, I've got 20 years left because I always say 100, don't I? Touch wood. But like if I'm getting into 80, I want to look back at all the opportunities I took and all the things that I managed to do. And, that's huge. And I think sometimes though, when you're underconfident, you can let that really take over and feel like, it's not the finances they don't want to invest. It's the fact that they don't think they'd be good enough to get that result. And that's obviously the biggest objection that we sort of deal with is that lads are worthy of doing it. You just have to be, doing it. And the other thing as well, mate, is like, I'll try not to go off on one, but like if you invest, let's say like your program's like, I don't know, £100 for a year, like something really cheap, like ridiculously cheap, right? And then how much time and energy and effort are you going to put into that if you're not that invested in it? Like if you've got a £1 pen, you don't really give a fuck if you lose it, break it, snap it. If you've got £1,000 pen, I would keep fucking good care of that. Like you'd be like, I'm going to keep care of that. And at the end of the day, like if you had £1,000,000 horse, right, you would buy it the best food, you would buy it the best trainers, the best carers, the best, whatever. If you've got £100 horse, you might not give a fuck. You are that £1,000,000 horse. You are the best investment you can ever put into yourself because you've only got one body, only one brain. And at the moment, we can't change that, maybe in the future. But the biggest thing there is that £1,000,000 horse is you. And what are you going to treat yourself like? Are you going to treat yourself like £100 horse and maybe half cuff it, maybe, invest in something that it's not really ever got any back in to change your life? Or are you going to give yourself that real good understanding? And like you said, what you guys have put into this and has actually enabled me to then get people like Ollie in, to get the guest speakers that we get in, to reinvest back into the service with all the stuff we did with the rocket race, with all those things that then build this into really being much better than we are. But if any of the guys are there and they're a bit worried about, they want to invest in themselves, that they're willing to actually make the change and really put skin in the game, but they're a bit worried about it all, would you be happy to speak to them, Ryan? Have a chat with them beforehand, being one of the lads who's inside and been through this for a year?
Yeah, happily. Like I'll tell them, like, I know people are scared about the money situation and all that, and I know it's the fact they don't know what's going to happen when they sign up for it.
Yeah,
that's just fear taking over. Embrace that fear and just go with it. Put that fear to one side.
Yeah.
No, you'll thank yourself for so much for doing it, and you'll have the best support ever.
Yeah.
Like nobody else will be as good as us. Support people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll happily help people out and tell them what the benefits are. Like there's no negatives at all.
Yeah. That's the
Down to
biggest
you.
the biggest thing for me is the fact that we've built, like, now over the last 12 months plus, we've built such a strong team that it's like it is literally like it's like being in the core again. You've got a fucking group of blokes that constantly are helping each other out, and that's the biggest thing. Is it's not, I wouldn't be able to do this alone. It's you guys being able to be like, I've had that problem before. I had that problem 3 months ago. Here's how I solved it. Here's how I solved it. And then I'm kind of the puppet master. I make sure that you're all interacting, because at the end of the day, like, when you're surrounded by a group of people that are really trying to self-improve and that are trying to be more positive and they're trying to be more confident, you will become that bloke. Like, you aren't going to become negative Nancy. I don't fucking allow it. Like, you are going to become that guy. And that's the biggest thing, is that the content you consume, the people you're around is the biggest thing that you're going to transition into that. But
like,
mate,
an
that's what
example for the community wise as well. Whenever I just started, but halfway into my first month, I struggled doing burpees.
we just got on a fucking,
Yeah, and then I put up in Facebook group within 10 minutes. Alan put up a video of him doing burpees and he showed, no, this is how you do it. Just take your time, develop. Whereas my mind was saying, you can't do one burpee, you're just rubbish. And I go, no, that's not how it works. It just takes time. If you're going to think everything's going to be done in an instant, you have a wrong mindset, because that's not going to work like that.
What you've got to consider as well is your mind is fucking very tricky, right? It would play a lot of tricks on you. So your mind is telling you can't do something. Now, when you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know something, you don't know it. So it doesn't, it's not going to change. You can't suddenly go, oh, I know it now. You're not Google. Like, inside your brain is not Google. It doesn't just fucking factor the, whatever in. But then if, like you say, if someone comes in with an external opinion, external belief, external level of thinking and goes, look, this is how we do that, boom, it completely wipes that problem. Whereas, like, I've all done around. I've talked about this all week with all the lads I've done these through. 24 hours is a problem. We can solve a problem within 24 hours. After that, it's a fucking choice. So if it carries on going for more than 24 hours, it wasn't a problem. It was a choice that you made. Because at the end of the day, if something's solved in 24 hours, that 24-hour period might be a bit shit, and we might make a little bit of a fuck up and 0.1% go down. But if we carry on letting that happen in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line, you've got heart failure, you've got fucking kidney stones, you're obese, you've got all these problems that go heavily aggressively wrong, or you're so low confident that you can't put yourself into a position that you want to be. That's not what we fucking want. And that's what I mean, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And what happens is, when lads are on their own and they haven't got a support network, they haven't got a community, they haven't got someone to bump them back the other way and make it only a 24-hour problem, that will turn into a 5-10 year problem, because you let it. Because if it didn't, you would have done it yourself already. So that's the biggest thing for me, is that not letting lads fucking get in their own head, get stuck into their own problems, and actually end up in a victim mindset 5 years, 10 years, where something serious happens. It's more about going, right, we'll solve this issue right here, right now. And I'm so, we're quite quick on this, aren't we? It's like, as soon as you've got a problem, it needs to be put your hand up and present it. And I always say that from the off, because then that means that everything gets solved quick, and it's not about just getting it solved and it could, fairy dust. I talked about it with Liam. It's about getting it solved and putting actionable processes and steps in play to stop that happening again. Like we say, you don't make the same mistake twice. You either you make a mistake and then you make a choice. So it's about really, you utilizing that and going, I've learned from this. What do I need to now do so that I stop that happening? We've had so many chats about it, haven't we? About, like, with your work life being busy, and we put protocols in place for when things get hectic, about what we can drop down to, what we can have expectations of, and it's massive. But sorry, Ryan, go on.
For an example, I know a lot of people suffer from fear. Like, fear just preys on them.
Yeah.
For an example, working in a hospital, and whenever COVID kicked off, it's like, as soon as, like, you hear the words, somebody, you go do a COVID clean, they're like, no, it's COVID. It's like, Jesus, now what happens if I get it? And it's like instant fears just grab them.
Yeah.
And they're saying, well, Ryan, can you go and do it? And I'm going, right, fair enough. And I says, what do I wear? And he says, work sure you wear your gown, apron, mask, goggles. And they said, go for a shower straight after. And I'm going, well, that's right. And after a while, it just became a normal, because going, as long as I wear my PPE and I'm following my instructions.
Control.
And the fear is there. I'm not gonna lie. The fear is like, what happens if I, the gloves rip and I touch stuff and I get it. And go, well, that won't happen because you'll know yourself that you'll double check everything before you go in.
Yeah.
And once you've done everything, you're going to go for a shower. So there's no possible way that you're going to go and get it because you're following all the instructions. If you're going to let fear dictate you, you're going to get yourself into more bother and more handling, and the situation will just explode.
Yeah.
But if you just remain calm, take a deep breath, things will be fine. Your mind tends to overthink situations. Oh, this situation's going to happen. This situation's going to happen. No, it's not. You know it's not going to happen because you can control what you can do. You can only control so much.
A lot of the time, what lads will do is they'll focus on the things that they don't have control of. And what that means is that you put yourself into a headset of panic and fear because you're fucking worried about what someone else is doing. Like, and I mean, I've never done this, right? I'm going to just make that disclaimer now. I've never fucking kicked down a door and shot people in the face, right? But Ant Middleton talks about it in his books quite often that when he was going through those doors and he was booting the door off the hinges and he was, going in and he was, eliminating the enemy, he wasn't worried about what the enemy were going to be doing because he knew he was a highly trained soldier. He was the aggressor. He was the one coming in where they were not having a clue that they were walking into the door. He had a team behind him of fucking absolute, troopers. And what I think about is when we go to battle, because you lads do every day with your job, with your workouts, with your partner, with everything that we have to go and deal with throughout the day, you've got an understanding, which is you being trained. You've got the rhythm of understanding what's in your control. You've got a fucking group of absolute legends behind you. So when we do kick down those doors and we go into, the gym, when we go into your work life, and we go into situations that actually sometimes are going to be stressful and we don't have control of everything, you are in a much higher standard and position than everyone else. And sometimes that's the biggest thing to think about is like, well, if you've got a problem and you know how to solve it and you don't, that is you making a decision and choice. If you're low in confidence and you're lacking an understanding and knowledge of health and fitness, and you're lacking a knowledge and understanding of mental health, or lacking an understanding of how to actually solve these problems, but you continue to invest in things and pay for courses, pay for Netflix, pay for cinema, pay for all this stuff that actually ends up not helping you. Even I'm not saying stay on this course for the rest of your life, because I always say to you, Ryan, don't know, there will be a point where we don't need each other anymore. And that's perfect because you've learned as much as you need to. But at the end of the day, that once you've learned everything, or you've got the job, or you've got into that rhythm, then you can go, right, now I'm done. And that's the same with me. As long as I don't, as long as I keep learning, keep getting education off Phil, the rest of the guys, I'll, happily stay with it. And I think that's the biggest thing is building confidence, building habits, building routines, building health and fitness shouldn't be an afterthought, like we've talked about before, haven't we? But mate, this has been brilliant. And as I say, I can talk and I love to do it with you guys all the time, but I'll sort of cut that there. But mate, as I say, if anyone's sort of struggling, they've got low confidence, I'm sure you'd be more than happy to have a chat with them, Ryan. And obviously I will as well. And any of the lads who've watched us, I'm sure you've taken huge inspiration because the man has literally flown. And I know you're going to fly into 2022. So it's been brilliant. But gold, dude, I'm going to stop the recording there. This has been fantastic. Perfect.